Today I'm going to show all of you why some children should receive life without the possibility of parole. According to the American Civil Liberties Union, also known as the ACLU, there are 2,570 children with life without parole in the United States. There are many groups that don't agree with the life without parole for children. These groups are known as the American Civil Liberties Union, the Yale Undergraduate Law Review, Amnesty International USA, and the Fair Sentencing Act for Youth. Also, there are groups that agree with life without parole for juveniles. The National Organization of Victims of Juvenile Lifers, the National District Attorneys Association, and the Heritage Foundation. Life without parole is where the inmate will die in prison. The life without parole sentence is used for first and second degree murder, and two men named Charles Simmons and Andrew Grossman wrote a book called Adult Time for Adult Crimes. Both of these men work for the Heritage Foundation. In their book, they wrote that most juvenile offenders should not and do not have their cases adjusted in the adult criminal justice system, but some crimes show extreme cruelty and complete disregard to human life. These crimes are so horrendous, life without parole is acceptable. Here are two examples of life without parole inmates serving for an extremely horrid crime. Ashley Jones was 14 when she killed her grandfather, her aunt, and tried to murder her grandmother and her sister. Ashley Jones was 14. She was dating a boy who was 16 named Jeremy Hart. Now, the Equal Justice Incentive would like to tell you that Ashley Jones was 14 and tried to escape the violence and abuse by running away with an older boyfriend, and then they shot and killed her grandfather and her aunt. Her grandmother and her sister were also injured during the offense, and Ashley wants to come home. Now, this here is the court findings for the Ashley Jones trial. And as you'll see here, Ashley Jones' criminal case is horrid. Alright, these are the actual facts of the case taken from the judge's findings. Ashley Jones was 14 years old, a female African American. She killed Delroy Niles, grandfather, Millie Niles, an aunt. Mary Elizabeth Niles is her grandmother, was attempted murder. Mary Elizabeth Jones, who was Miss Ashley Jones's sister, was also attempted to be murdered. The crime is 2 counts of first-degree capital murder and 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder and other charges. And the crime was committed on August 30th, 1999 in Birmingham, Alabama. These are the judge's findings. And in a span of minutes, Ashley Jones and her boyfriend shot her grandfather twice in the face and then stabbed him until he died. Shot her sleeping aunt 3 times, shot her grandmother in the shoulder, and then stabbed her, poured lighter fluid on her, and set her on fire and watched her burn. And then stabbed her 10-year-old sister 14 times. Jones then took $300 from her grandfather's wallet and keys to his Cadillac, which she drove away from the crime scene. That's the summary of what she did. The facts of what she did that came out in the trial is After Ashley Jones stabbed her father and her pregnant mother in 1998, killing neither, she and her sister, Mary, were sent to live with their grandparents and maternal aunt. Delroy Niles, her 78-year-old grandfather, was a retired steel worker and a deacon at his church. His wife, Mary Niles, was 73 and was a homemaker. By late August of 1999, the Niles were growing tired of Jones's bad behavior and grounded her for staying out all night at a party. The Niles did not approve of Jones's boyfriend, Jeremy Hart, and told him not to visit their house anymore. Well, this angered Ashley Jones. Jones and Hart decided to kill everyone in the house, set it on fire, and take their money. And to prepare, Jones stole 2 of her grandfather's guns and smuggled them out of the house to Hart. She mixed together rubbing alcohol, nail polish remover, and charcoal lighter fluid in anticipation of setting the house on fire. It took the couple 2 days to plan into the action, and on the evening of August 30th, 1999, Jones kept an eye out for her relatives until they had settled in for the evening. Then she called Hart, and he arrived around 11:15 p.m., and Jones led him into the house, and he was carrying the .38 revolver that he had taken from Jones's grandfather. Jones and Hart sneak into the den where her grandfather was watching television. Hart shot him twice in the face. He was still alive. Delroy stumbled down towards the kitchen. Next, they visited the bedroom of her Aunt Millie, who was 30, shot her 3 times, and seeing that she was still breathing, Ashley Jones hit her in the head with a portable heater and stabbed her in the chest and attempted to set the room on fire. The gunshots woke Ashley Jones's grandmother, and she got out of bed. That was when Ashley and Jeremy entered her bedroom and shot her once in the shoulder. It was their last bullet. Jones and Hart returned to the den to discover that her grandfather was still alive. With knives from their own kitchen, they stabbed him over and over again and left one of the knives embedded in his back. Ashley poured charcoal lighter fluid on her grandfather and set him ablaze, listening to him groan as he burned alive. The noise attracted Jones's 10-year-old sister, Mary Elizabeth, to the kitchen. From there, she could see her grandfather on the den floor on fire, and soon after, the wounded Mary Niles entered the kitchen and called to her dying husband. Jones stabbed her grandmother in the face with an ice pick. Then Jones poured lighter fluid on her and set her on fire and watched her burn. Mary Elizabeth attempted to leave, but Jones grabbed her and began punching her. Hart shoved the pistol in Mary's face and said that he was going to shoot her. Ashley intervened. "No, let me do her." She stabbed her sister 14 times and stopped only after Mary curled up in a ball on the floor and pretended to be dead. Jones and Hart piled sheets, towels, and papers on the floor and set them on fire. Jones and Hart removed $300 from her grandfather's mattress and then took the keys to the Cadillac, which they drove to a local motel. And Jones spent the night partying at the hotel with her grandfather's blood on her socks and her grandmother's blood on her shirt. These are the true facts of the crime that were reported by the trial. Mary Elizabeth and her grandmother survived, and Mary Elizabeth helped her grandmother out of the house, and they walked to a neighbor's house for help. They called the police, who quickly responded to the scene. The officers found Ashley Jones's grandfather dead on the living room floor and her aunt dead in her bed. Mary Niles was heavily wounded, and firefighters were able to extinguish the fire lit by Jones and Hart. The following morning, news outlet reported the murder as well as the facts that Jones's sister had survived. The news angered her. She later said, "I thought I killed that bitch." Mary Elizabeth received stitches in her numerous stab wounds and was hospitalized with a collapsed lung. Ashley Jones' grandmother was treated for gunshot, stab wounds, and burns that covered a third of her body. She spent a month in the burn unit at the local hospital, undergoing multiple skin grafts before undergoing treatment at a rehab facility to relearn how to use her arms after the burn. When they went to trial, the judge said that Jones did not express any genuine remorse for her actions, and she did not apologize, and therefore she was a sociopath that deserved life in prison, never to see outside of prison walls again. Now these are the facts of Ashley Jones's case. Now the next case we're going to talk about is Josh Phillips, or Joshua Phillips. Now Joshua Phillips is from Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida. He was 14 when he committed his crime. And what he did was, Josh had a friend that lived next door to him. Her name was Maddie Shifton. She was only 8. She was found underneath Joshua Phillips' bed after being missing for 7 days. Josh Phillips had no history of violence and was charged as an adult with murder, and he was found guilty of first-degree murder. Josh told the police that he accidentally hit Maddie with a baseball bat, and in a panic, Josh says he was afraid of getting in trouble, so he hit Maddie with the baseball bat again and then stabbed her to stop her from screaming. Then he put her under his waterbed while the town of Jacksonville was frantically looking for Maddie. 7 days later, his mother thinks his waterbed is leaking and finds Maddie's body. Josh's crime was also considered heinous, and he is now serving life without parole in the state of Florida. As you see from both of these crimes, they are pretty horrendous, and these two may not be able to rehabilitate and join us back into society. Now, you also have the other side that thinks that it is unconstitutional and is an Eighth Amendment violation to have juveniles serving with life without parole. The Eighth Amendment, the Cruel and Unusual Punishment Amendment, they agree that that is cruel and unusual punishment. They do not think these children have any means or any means to become productive members of society, and they should be given the chance because their brains are not fully developed. And they say that there is no quality of life for them, and they are more abused in prison than any other prisoners. Now, the main points of this is that life without parole for these two heinous crimes that I read you makes it where life without parole justifies. There is no redemption for Ashley Jones. She's cold-hearted. She has no feelings. She could do this again. Also, the United States is the only country that has life without parole for juveniles under the age of 18. We are the only country that does this. Now, most crimes that are committed by juveniles do not go this far. This is for the extreme and the heinous. I am not saying that every child deserves life without parole for killing, but when they're premeditated and they're so heinous, and there's no possibility of redemption on the child's part. They should end up with life without parole. So I hope that you can see now that life without parole for juveniles does have its warrant in society. And let's hope that our country will protect us from these heinous people.